Um, yes, there's this popular saying said by Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it is done.
It's been a really great 10 years for us. And, Open Dreams started out as just a little dream that we had to help students really achieve their dreams and be able to go to the university of their dreams. And to see it grow from 5 students that we started with back in 2014 to over 200 students who've gotten full scholarships to the top universities all over the world, and summer programs and leadership programs all over the world has been truly phenomenal. And for me, the most exciting thing is seeing our scholars developing their own initiative.
Hi, I'm Hans Kohlberg,
And I'm Christina Bernardo Kuhlberg.
and we are two of the co-founders of Open Dreams, and we are very excited to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Open Dreams.
A decade of triumph.
So after 10 years of Open Dreams, we're excited, honored, and thrilled to be celebrating 10 years of triumph, 10 years of success, and really seeing all of the scholars really reach their ambitions, their missions, and really fulfill their potential in life. We are very, very encouraged by everything that has happened so far to make Open Dreams the family, the community that it is today, and we're really excited to see what comes in the future. So Christina and I, we're not Cameroonians. Our other co-founder, Blaze, is Mr. Kaba James, certainly is Cameroonian. Christina is the daughter of immigrants from Cuba. I'm the son of immigrants from Sweden and the Philippines. And I grew up in North Carolina, she grew up in Washington, D.C. And by virtue, that makes us global citizens.
For me, probably speaking to the scholars themselves, hearing their dreams, their aspirations, and then that moment where they call you or they text you or they send you a WhatsApp note and they say, I got into the university of my dreams, it's gonna happen. I have one scholar, we were working almost 3 years together, and he just got into Oxford, and it was just phenomenal to see it actually come through. And every time you get a message like that saying, I'm going to get my PhD at Purdue University on a full scholarship, it's just like, it's so incredible to know that somehow we've helped in some small way to get these scholars and these students to the institutions of their dreams. So we had the great fortune, or I had the great fortune of meeting Blaise Bouma while studying at the London School of Economics in England. He was from a rural community outside of Bamenda, Cameroon, and he came across an American who was volunteering in Cameroon, who actually went to UNC Chapel Hill, which is my alma mater. And he asked her, can you help me get a scholarship to the US? And she said, sure. And so she helped him with his SAT and his TOEFL and helped revise his essays. In the first year, he got into a lot of universities, but he didn't get any full scholarship. And the second year, he ended up getting 3 full scholarships to top universities in the United States, and ended up going to Washington and Lee in Virginia, then to LSE where we met, and then eventually to Harvard Business School, which is tremendous, and then becoming a Schwarzman Scholar in China. He said, great, well, I have this amazing professor on the ground named Mr. Kaba James, who teaches physics at my high school, and he'd be wonderful to get the organization off the ground. And so we said, okay, how do we do this? And we formalized it as a nonprofit in December 2013 with a 501c3. And we started with just collecting books from friends and computers and laptop donations and sending them to Bamenda. And we started building a center in Bamenda, beginning with just 5 students that we were trying to help get scholarships to universities all over the world. All 5 of them now have gone abroad in different endeavors, which is exciting to see. And the name, we have mixed stories about the name, but I think we all kind of agreed that this was talking about the dreams that people had for their lives. and we were kind of coming up with different variations on something related to dreams. And I said, you know, we're actually kind of opening these dreams for a lot of people and giving them an opportunity to start towards these bigger dreams for their lives. And I think the Open Dreams name kind of landed, and it has since stuck.
So the most challenging moment of Open Dreams, bar none, has certainly been the crisis, the Anglophone crisis that has really impacted and affected in a very severe way our operations on the ground in Bamenda. We know the situation with the Anglophone and Francophone region, but in terms of safety, you know, one can't have a future without having individual safety at the end of the day.
After completing my undergraduate studies, and I was intending to begin my application journey to get a master's scholarship abroad. I remember Open Dreams was not very functional in Bamenda during this period. I think because Open Dreams did start in Bamenda, but because of the crisis, they had to move the center to Yaoundé. So about for a year or two, there were some issues in and out, and most scholars were not very frequent at the center. So I remember discussing back then with Sir James on how to get things back on track. And then with a few people which I work with, which was, I remember back then, Daphne was there, Ferdinand, we were all together, and we decided to, you know, start it all over again. So at first we had to do something small, then for the founders to be able to see that we are able to get things back on track. So I would say this was very difficult because we were losing one day a week, unlike the other people. So every Mondays here, which is a ghost town, and some parents were very skeptical to send their kids to us. They were afraid. Of course, there were gunshots, they were kidnapping children, so they were very afraid. I remember we recorded one of the lowest attendance rates back when we began again. That was just about 12 participants only. I'll say Open Dreams is more crucial now because of the attack on education. I know Open Dreams is an educational institution which is there to, you know, help high achieving low income kids. And what about the kids that are within this region and in a crisis which affects education? So I think now more than ever, Open Dreams is very important.
The secret is to know what you want for yourself. Once you know where you're headed to, you're going to stay focused. I see people trying for 1 year, 2 years, and they're giving up. No. You know, I've seen people who had less, or should I say less better profile than myself, who got admitted and received scholarship throughout my time at Open Dreams. That should have been like a big demotivation for me to give up. Like, you see people who are probably not half of their profile getting out of this stuff. But sometimes I feel like it's just a humble reminder that sometimes you can be the very best, but you're going towards the wrong direction. It's not easy to receive some of those suggestions, I assure you. I recall when I was listed for the Children's Scholarship. I was so disappointed actually, because I thought that I actually ticked all the boxes to achieve that scholarship, and that's not all. I was listed twice for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship at Sciences Po, which was my dream university. I don't know why, but probably because I produced one of the highest numbers of presidents in Africa. So I thought that was the right trajectory for myself, because I'm equally aiming for politics and international relations. But when I read the cons and pros over the years, I can only be very proud of myself of not giving up. Because not only am I heading to the top university in the world, I'm equally heading to the most competitive school of governance in the world, the Blavatnik School of Government. My grandma always told me, she used to speak in French because she's on my mom's side. She was always like, que celui qui est pressé s'avance. When it translates literally in English, it means whosoever is in a hurry should go ahead. So I feel like I always knew what I wanted for myself. So the rejections were just more of a redirection for me. After 5 years of yes and no's, and the 5 years of partially funded scholarships, I just feel like all the hard work has actually paid off.
Vu l'expérience que j'ai eue de Open Dream, ce que je peux résumer en ce qui concerne Open Dream est que Open Dream ne l'offre pas. C'est pas Open Dream qui offre les bourses aux enfants, mais Open Dream apprend aux enfants à se faire vendre, si je peux dire, parmi les universités qui recherchent des enfants avec un certain potentiel. Donc, Open Dream apprend aux enfants à faire leur CV, ils apprennent aux enfants à enrichir leur CV, ils apprennent aux enfants à faire des activités qui peuvent mettre en avant leur CV par rapport à d'autres enfants. Donc, ça leur permet de se distinguer par rapport à d'autres enfants. On ne peut qu'encourager les parents à accompagner leurs enfants dans le rêve qu'ils peuvent avoir de décrocher une bourse à travers Open Dream. J'ai eu une expérience qui a été très très bénéfique pour notre famille et vraiment c'est jusqu'à présent ça reste nous retrouvons comme si nous sommes toujours dans un rêve.
When I arrived there, it was a nice environment. I saw a very vibrant community of scholars, and I was like, wow, this is the environment I like to be. An environment where you are being challenged to always give out your best. Because I was in the University of Bamenda, I was a local champion. But when I arrived there in the OG community, I saw guys, striving for bigger stuff, going to bigger universities. And then I knew that, okay, I had to do more work. So being part of Open Dreams has really impacted my life very positively. I came in Open Dreams just as an observer. They added me in the WhatsApp group for those who attended that fair. I was sharing daily quotes every day in that group. I wanted that they should notice me by all costs, because I knew one thing that the community needed was motivation, because they're applying for stuff and sometimes when you don't get it, you're feeling a bit discouraged. So I was sharing motivations back to back, day in, day out. I was so consistent in it so much that any information that was shared in that group, I was always aware. So when new people joined, they were asking old questions, but now nobody was directly answering. But since I was always sharing a daily quote, I was always in the group, so I would be answering back those questions. Mm-hmm. And that's how I just got to know more about the application process and everything. And then from there, I was added into the Summer Academy group for 2019, where I was a facilitator. That was my first time. And then 2020, I introduced OD Hackathon in the Summer Academy, which was happening in Yaoundé for its first time. And I always wanted to tour some African countries and also get that experience of just traveling in and out. And eventually I think I've achieved those goals. Like I'm close to 5 African countries now, most of them fully funded, and 1 Dubai trip. That was the only trip out of the continent so far. So 6 trips totally. But in terms of the people that I find very influential in Open Dreams, and the people who are, really, who commitment to community service really amazes me. The first on the list will be Mr. Kaba James, because I don't understand how he's able to continuously, for the past 10 years, doing that. I mean, people can get on your nerves. At one moment, you can be like, we're not helping anybody this again. Or people need to pay 2 million to be part of Open Dreams. Because you see the impact, you see what you have done for them. But at the same time, you don't get a recognition or gratitude in return. And to have a heart to continue doing what you have to do, even when things are, when people are not that grateful, people are very ungrateful. I think he has a very good and big heart. So when I look at that, I'm like, wow, this is someone different. I would recommend Open Dreams every day, every time. Reason being that just being part of a community of people who are dreaming pushes you to dream.
Never at any point in the history of Open Dreams, so in my life, have I felt a global citizen than now. In almost every part of the world I go, there is often or most likely an Open Dreams Scholar nearby. So 10 years of triumph, a decade of triumph, means so much to me. In fact, we never thought that within a short time we will be able to be present in almost all the country. When I say the country, I'm talking about Cameroon. We would have reached that point where we are the premier access organization in the country. It is such a fascinating organization. It is today. The family that Open Dreams has been able to create, or the umbrella that Open Dreams created, that has brought so many people together, people of talent. I often say this, that magic happens when you bring the best together. We see that magic happening. What motivated me to become part of Open Dreams? While in the classroom, I realized that I was teaching, we could solve all the best problems in the classroom. We solve them and get very excited. But the moment we step out in the society, or the moment those students leave us, you only really see them go far. And then I started asking questions like this Nigerian song we often hear, like, how much is money? When I say how much is money, there are students who are so gifted, but very few people are ready to invest in them. They don't place talent as a priority. And because that investment is not being done, we continue to lose so much in our human potential. Thankfully, we realize that a little token, a little amount of money put into a student can turn out to be totally invaluable once the student attains self-potential.
Education of the child is a shared responsibility of parents, teachers, the learner himself, and the community. And if any of these persons or components reneges on its responsibility, there's bound to be problems. I'm Ebebe Daniel Okonde, a retired high school teacher of languages, now on retirement. So I wanted him to do computer science, but I didn't force it on him. When he grew up, he went to secondary school, Sacred Heart, and he himself chose the sciences. So when he graduated with the advanced level, we talked together, asked him which are the professions he would like to do. He said he wanted to do robotics. Yeah, robotics, to my own small knowledge, is related to computer science. And we ended up that he would do computer science at the university. It's unfortunate that I came into contact with Open Dreams very, very late in 2021, when my second son, who too is very, very intelligent, missed it. So it's a family friend who told us about Open Dreams. So I thought that, well, that should be the philosopher's stone I've been looking for. That would make things, facilitate things for Lionel and other children to enter into this top-notch university.
I would take even 11. I would recommend 10 times, and I've been doing so.
Yeah, but in terms of the next 10 years, there's a lot that we can accomplish. There's definitely a lot of goals in mind. But one is really making Open Dreams sustainable. Over the last 10 years, we've certainly had to rely on family and friends and donations, and really not really knowing, there is a limited amount of bandwidth that we can actually, resources that we can pull from. So whether that means that we have do better jobs on the grant writing side, or even have a sustainable income or revenue producing arm of it,
So for the next decade of Open Dreams, I think we're really excited to finally put together our own center, an Open Dreams Center of Excellence, where we hope to incorporate deep learning, preparation for the college access process, but also provide opportunities for students who may not want to go abroad or who would like to remain local and have an impact. So we'd also like to have an entrepreneurship center where we're teaching students about entrepreneurship, supporting entrepreneurial initiatives, as well as a health center where we can give out vaccines and some prenatal care through our Viva Women in Science program, and also our Women's Leadership Center. So combining all of these elements to support women leaders in Cameroon and beyond through Viva Women in Science is a big dream for all of us. And we hope it could be a 1 to 2 year institute with housing, especially for our internally displaced students, helping to make change both locally and internationally.